What's up, everybody, and welcome to yet another edition of Saturday Night Paratalk. I'm your ShadowZone host, the ghost host with the most, Brian James. With me always is the man who's too sweet to be sour. He is funky like a monkey, Mr. Eldon McInville.
What's up, Brian? What's going on, man? What do we got? What do we got in store for tonight, man?
Oh man, we have a great podcast, my brother. But before I get into that, happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday.
So tonight we have Shasta from Crossover Paranormal Society from North Carolina.
Outstanding. So what do you know about Crossover Paranormal Society? Do you know much, or we're going to have to learn this tonight?
Well, I do know that they put some phenomenal videos out on YouTube. They're a great paranormal team. They have a Facebook group page you guys can go join. I definitely recommend joining it. It is just a lot of fun on their page. And before we bring our guests on, I would like to take this time to say that the ShadowZone Paranormal Podcast is sponsored by Jesse from D'sGhost.com. If you want equipment at affordable prices, well crafted and put together, and they're in little cute coffin boxes, just go to D'sGhost.com, type in promo code GLOBALEQ, and get 10% off your first order today. And Eldon, what is that site that's like Facebook, but it's strictly for the paranormal? What am I talking about here, man?
Oh man, I that's that new one that just came out not very long ago, man. But they've been kicking some tail and taking names. Got a lot of viewers on there and growing like weeds. And if you take a look right there at the bottom of your screen, Parapost Network is the place to go, man.
That's right. Facebook-like atmosphere, drama-free. You can run it on Android. You can run it on Apple, laptops, computers. All you got to do is go to that Google Play Store, download the app, Parapost Network, or you can sign into Parapost Network by going to parapost.net. And it reminds me of one more thing, man. If you're a ghost hunter and you're thirsty and you need an energy drink, man, shouldn't there be one out there just for ghost hunters and paranormal investigators?
That sounds like a really fabulous idea. I think somebody's already came up with that idea, though. And since that's the case, I think we should be on board with it and kind of help them out.
Exactly. And this is Ghost Energy, folks. They do numerous flavors such as tropical mango, warhead, citrus, and many other flavors. You can't find them all over the U.S., but you can find them in some parts of the U.S. Hopefully, we're going to get them to go fully around the U.S. Nicole Ghosting Paranormal GP. What's up, guys? What's up, Nicole? How you doing, hun? Good to see you. So yeah, man. Anything else you want to talk about before we bring our guest on?
No, I'm all talkative, so I better just keep my mouth shut and we'll just leave the facts to the professionals. And while we're talking about that, let's go ahead and bring her on.
Let's do it. Well, are you going to do it or am I going? Oh, there she is.
I'm already ahead of you, man.
Yes.
10 steps ahead of me. I like it. Nicole is listening to us and playing Halo.
Cool.
All right.
Sounds like fun.
That's the way to do it. Listen to us and kick some ass in some video games. Add a pepper. So, Shasta, welcome to Saturday Night Paratalk.
Well, thanks for having me.
Oh, our pleasure. Our pleasure. Eldon, fire away.
So Shasta, I don't know a whole lot about your organization, and so I really feel like I'm going to get educated tonight.
Oh
So why don't
gosh,
you just
no
kind of
pressure.
start off? Yeah. So why don't you go ahead and just start off about, who you are and what your organization is and what you guys do, where you're located, and all that good jazz.
Okay, so I'm without my partner tonight, my cousin, but Jonathan, who isn't with us tonight, but he is the founder of the group. Him and his father, which is my uncle, um, they decided I've been investigating for probably about 13 years or better.
Mhm,
And he decided that he wanted to come and investigate and wanted to start a group in North Carolina. So I'm
mhm,
from Virginia. And I'm like, well, what are you waiting for? Just do it. That's what you want to do. Start a group, and you can get people together. So he started his group, and it started right around when COVID started. The shutdown really helped in a way because it gave him time to get his people together, work with people, train, um, get closer together so that everybody was comfortable with the equipment, what they were doing, what they could do, techniques, research. He's really big with research and um, Civil War things in his area. So from that came the team. Then he had to name the team. And he sat
mhm,
around for a while and was like, okay, I have no idea what to name my team. And then it took me a minute to figure out how he had cops on his shirt. I'm like, what the heck is cops? But then it dawned on me it's crossover paranormal society. So that kind of stuck. So now it's in the area where he's from, it's a big deal. They see the badge and then they see the paranormal and everybody is, into paranormal nowadays. They're like, what do you
mhm.
do? Um, they want to ask questions. They want to find out, do you really hunt ghosts? What's it like? Can I go? So basically, we handle residential. We do our fun stuff. We go to buildings and search things out and investigate locations for fun for ourselves. But then we also offer, free to anybody that has a home that needs to be investigated if they're having issues. We have someone that we work with that can bless homes, so we have that too. So that's kind of how we came about.
Cool, cool, Brian.
Um, Nicole Ghosting Paranormal GP says we're from Petersburg, Virginia. What part of Virginia?
I'm in Roanoke. They're out of the group's actually out of want to keep wanting to say Winston, but it's not. It's out of Mount Airy, North Carolina. But I'm in Roanoke.
Nice. Very nice. Well, I mean, my first question is gonna have to be, what got you initially started in the paranormal field?
Me myself, years ago when I was young, my grandmother used to tell us stories, what we used to think were just ghost stories. Now, after having experiences, I'm not so sure they were just ghost stories. I'm leaning towards I believe she may have had some type of abilities that we weren't aware of. Because I've seen things, I've heard things. Sometimes I can sense stuff when I go on a location that just like I get a feeling, a vibe, basically, of the location. I don't like to know the history of the location. I don't do the history tours. I like to go in blind just to see what I come up with. Um, so that kind of piqued my interest. I've always grown up a horror girl. I love a good horror movie. Um,
Oh, and,
that's been my
and
life since I was old enough to watch TV. So that was
mhm.
my side of it. Now it really peaked when we went to Mexico years ago. And I had a couple of instances where we went to a hacienda in Mexico. and we were taking this tour, and we went into this room, and it's in the summer. So, summer in Mexico is like 100 and some degrees.
Right.
So we go into the separate bedroom, and the temperature just bottomed out. It's like a good 10, 15 degrees colder. And you could tell somebody's watching you, but you can't see them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I don't understand this concept. There's somebody here, but I don't know where they are. So later on that day, we toured through a graveyard that it rained and the graveyard had washed out. There's no wind. There's little kids like tombstones. So they build their tombs like in Louisiana above ground. And there's no wind. There's a little bell on the door. And my sister-in-law's standing on the side, and I'm standing on the other side. And this bell just starts ringing out of nowhere. So we look at each other. Naturally, we just walk off. The bell can ring itself. I'm out of there. But that piqued my curiosity as to what's on the other side. But something was trying to get our attention. And then I came back. I started looking at other people in the area that were doing meetup groups. And from there, it just kind of took off. I started going to public investigations, hanging out with different groups. And I settled into a group. Then I settled into my own group at one point. And the rest is kind of history. We just kind of traveled around, went to different places, different open investigations from Gettysburg to St. Augustine Lighthouse, Waverly Hills. So that's kind of my story.
Oh, so you've kind of done it all.
Not yet. I'm getting to do some, not all. I don't think I could ever hit it all, but I'm going to keep kicking as long as the good Lord's willing.
Fingers crossed on that.
So what's next for you, Shasta?
We actually have a big investigation coming up on March the 11th at the USS North Carolina battleship. And that's a big team investigation. We have got a bunch of people going. I'm not sure the entire crew that's going to be with us. But that's going to be a pretty crazy investigation. It'll be my third time back. We've investigated once before as a team, but that is a old naval warship. So it's extremely haunted, crazy activity. We've had everything from, banging in the kitchen to it sounds like people slamming trays on the table when they're getting ready to eat meals. So it's a pretty crazy activity. So we got that coming up in March.
I think you're going to like it. That's actually in Wilmington, North Carolina, that battleship. And it does have some crazy activity. I've been there before myself, and it's insane. You turn every corner and you're experiencing something.
It'll be my third time back there. Every time I've been, it's never disappointed. It's always it's never the same thing twice either. I mean, you run into something new every time you go down a ladder or come up a set of steps.
It's exactly what I was just telling you. Every time you turn the corner, you're experiencing something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you say you grew up on horror and you're a horror movie fanatic.
Yes.
Now, I have to know, what are your top 3 favorite horror movies of all time?
Are we talking new or old school?
Any.
Okay, so I would have to say Night of the Living Dead, but the original one, not the new stuff.
Okay.
I like the old black and white. Call me crazy, but I like Nosferatu.
That was a good movie.
He will, even though it was silent and he's goofy looking, I still have to go back that way. And then if I'm gonna, I'll go some new stuff. Let's see. Let me see what I like that's new. I struggle with the new stuff because some of it's not as good. After like the first one of anything lately, it's like you lose interest in it. I'm not really, the gore stuff doesn't get me. I like a good thriller kind of stuff. I want to be able to sink my teeth into it. I don't want to just slash up everything. So, you know what? People Under the Stairs.
Ooh, that's a good one.
You
I
know,
would have
that's probably been my next one.
I would have to say Nightmare on Elm Street series. Anything that Rob Zombie has ever remade or done.
Yeah.
And cross between Jason Voorhees and Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
See, I've met a lot of them. A lot of them are really like, I can remember the first time that I met Kane Hodder. He is just incredible. So, like a crazy person, you know, I go to some of these cons, and so I met him, and this was before he couldn't choke you anymore. I just said, hey, okay, he can choke you. So I asked him to choke me. Bad idea. Yeah. So I said, yeah, you know, yeah, just choke me. It'll be good. Yeah, we'll do this. I have it on video somewhere, which I hid. Because I'm like seeing stars. I'm starting to black out because he don't play. And so here I am. I've got Kenny Huddle grabbing me at headlock, and my toes are like barely touching the ground, and I'm starting to black out a little bit, and I'm actually being taken out by Jason. So I thought, yeah, what was I thinking when I asked him to do that? But we've met about 4 of the guys that's played Jason. We've actually met the guy that plays Roach from People Under the Stairs. So we've had the opportunity to meet so many people. Elvira is awesome.
Oh, I bet. That was my childhood crush growing up.
Yeah, so my daughter just walked in the room. She's trying to write me notes. Gonna get cue cards in a minute. But so yeah, that's one of the things that, you know, I grew up with was the horror side of it. So that's kind of where I started.
Right. That's where I started too. I was 4 years old, and the first movie I ever saw, original Nightmare on Elm Street in the movie theater.
Well, and he actually does the con circuit, but I've not. His lines were so long I couldn't get to him. I saw him from a distance because he is Robert Englund is such a big name. He's so hard to get close to. I think my most memorable moment was when, as we all know, we used to watch Tales from the Crypt. John Kassir. He was at a party one night at a convention, and he got on stage and he did what is Michael Jackson's Bad, I think? Thriller. And he did the whole thing. No, babe. He did the whole thing in the Crypt Keeper voice.
Oh, that had to have been epic.
Oh, it was amazing. I think that was probably one of the best concerts I've ever been to. He did the whole thing as the Crypt Keeper.
Nice.
So I was like, you know what? I don't know what to do after that. That was my night.
Robert Englund is definitely on my bucket list before I die. I will stand 14 hours in line just to meet him.
Yeah, his lines were very long.
And my co-host has magically disappeared. Eldon, come back. You can blame it all on me. So you've done plenty of investigations with your own team, with other teams.
Mhm.
So, what was your first paranormal experience in the field?
Let's see. I have to think back. We were training. There's a little location here which they don't let us use anymore. I want to say it's around the Civil War, might be, well, yeah, I would say it's probably Civil War. It's the only house that's still standing in the area that wasn't burned down when that location, the town burned down. They destroyed every house but that house.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
we were in there and we used it at that time. We had access to it all the time. And it's called Avenel. We were using that as a training facility. And that training facility, just because it's so active, we would take new members whenever we were the team that I was on at the time. We would take new members to there and we would just go train, work on the equipment, work out the kinks in the DVR systems and all that stuff. So this was maybe my third, fourth investigation. I was very silent. I wouldn't talk. I didn't like to tell anybody, anything that I was experiencing because I was still trying to figure out if what I was seeing was accurate.
Right.
So there was an upstairs bathroom that was very active. But now this is the only bathroom that you can use, a
Oh, no.
functioning bathroom. So we're all sitting in this room in a bedroom, and I'm facing the bathroom. And the only thing in there is your toilet, your sink, your mirror. There's the camera that's sitting facing into that bathroom. There's a guy all the way across the other side of the house, and he's watching into the bathroom. So I see this
That's not.
shadow come up out of the floor on the right side of the sink. And it's probably about 5 foot tall. And then it kind of dissipates back down to the floor. There's two other people in the room with me, but I'm like, no, I'm not saying anything because they're going to think that I'm crazy.
Right.
So two more times this thing stands up and then goes back into the floor.
Oh, no.
And I'm still not saying anything. So the guy on the other side of the room watching the cameras radios in, and the guy by the door who can't see into the bathroom. I'm the only one watching this. He's like, the guy watching the cameras, he's like, "Is there somebody moving in the bathroom?" And the guy with the radio by the door says, "No, nobody's moving at all." And he says, "Well, why?" He says, "Because I keep seeing a shadow in the left side of the mirror in the bathroom." So, well, that made sense because what I'm seeing is standing up on the right side of the sink. So it's casting a shadow to the left on the mirror. So I had to sit there and watch what to me looked like a woman. So later on that evening, I took a picture into the bathroom and you can see me in the mirror, but there's also a second person standing beside me
Oh,
in the
wow.
bathroom. And she was just a bit shorter than I was.
That had to freak you out a little bit.
Yeah, well, it got worse. We sent a gentleman upstairs to go to the bathroom. He ran out the house, got in his car, and wouldn't get back out of the car. He locked his doors and wouldn't come back in the house the rest of the investigation. Because he said something talked to him while he was in that bathroom.
Are we there yet?
Oh, boy.
So that was about my third investigation in.
Oh, man. So he straight hauled ass out of the bathroom, down the stairs, out the front door, into his car, and locked the door.
Yeah, he was done. He wouldn't go back.
Thinking a ghost ain't gonna get through a locked car door. Nuh-uh, no siree.
No, because we were just out front before the investigation and it was messing with the lights on the car. We were sitting between two houses and something was messing with the lights on the car. I mean, the car was acting funny. So we couldn't figure out even what was messing with the car, with the lights. Because they were like blinking and fluttering, and the car wasn't on. The lights were on, but you know how the lights still stay on a little bit after the car is turned
Yeah.
off. They were like coming on and off and blinking and flickering, and I'm like, they're not supposed to do that.
Mm-mm. That they are not.
Yeah. Now we no longer have access to that location because they have a new board of like trustees. So that location, maybe once a year, will let a couple of groups in, but they've shut us down and won't let us back in there anymore.
That sucks.
I know they just use it for like weddings and things like that.
Yeah, come have your picture taken for your wedding. I promise there'll be an extra person in the audience.
They have had that. They had a wedding. I was friends with the lady that was running it, and they had a wedding, and the wedding party, the before they were going to get married, they were touring the building, and they had a son, and the little boy went into the banquet hall, or we would call it the dining room, but he's like, "Who's the little boy?" But there wasn't a little boy in there, so he was actually in the dining room. Their son was trying to play with him.
And of
The
course,
place was amazing.
oh, he's just got an overactive imagination. You see, us paranormal investigators, when our kids say, "Oh, my imaginary friend," we know that the hair on the backs of our necks stand up and we go, "Oh, crap. What did I bring home with me now?"
Daddy.
Well, and that's part of the reason why I think with my grandmother, when she used to tell us stories, I don't really think that they were stories anymore. I think maybe she was able to see and hear things that maybe other people couldn't. Because my daughter, ever since she was little, has talked about and talked to other people. She's talked about the life she's had before. I've had several psychics tell me that she's an old soul, that she's lived before. She's actually told me when she was first started talking, she told me about her family she had before, about her husband, about her dog, her husband's name, her dog's name, her other family that all died, her brothers and sisters. And this was when she was 3, but she's been in and out of haunted buildings since she was 3 years old. She's been photo shooting and in a documentary film when she was like 3.5, 4 years old for the Booth brothers. So that's always been something that's been a part of her. So she's our youngest member on our team. She does investigate with us.
No.
She actually gets on. We have a place in North Carolina that we go to quite often that's called the Trevette Clinic. And there's a little girl spirit there, and we have her in as often as we can. And she brings toys, they interact together. We've actually got a video of a rocking chair. Like she walks away from the rocking chair and goes into another location, and you'll see the rocking chair start to rock by itself.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so she gets a lot of activity when she goes places, and I don't know if it's just because she is a kid and she is so innocent, but there's just something about her and how she interacts. Sometimes you use that to your advantage because kids are so free and open, and sometimes it takes that to interact with the spirits in a home or a location.
Absolutely.
Everybody's going to
Absolutely.
think I throw my kid to the wolves and use her for investigations, but
I know. They say it's the same with special needs kids. They have a childlike mentality in mind. So when they, if they go in for investigations or in a paranormal place, that the spirits will come to them before they come to any of us.
Yeah, she has picked up on many things. I mean, it surprises me. Like I said, we were a little freaked out with the other set of parents and the brothers and sisters. That was a little odd for us. We had to seek some guidance from some friends of ours because that was a little scary. Um, my father, who passed away before she was ever born, she was able to describe him. She says that she's talked to him before. She's visited with him, which I don't doubt. I mean, she's been able to describe a location where my parents lived that there are no pictures of. That the house doesn't even exist anymore. Was a mobile home, and she's been able to describe what it looked like inside and how everything was sitting and where my father was sitting, as if she was there talking to him.
Oh, wow.
And the house hasn't existed for 15 years or better.
So she has got some very special gifts.
I don't know. I had it was Kim Russo actually read her one day at a con, and we met her, and she said that when her gifts were ready, that mine would become stronger when she was ready for her gifts. So I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Um, Amy Allen has worked with her and helped her with picking out stones. Like she's fascinated with stones. She will dig through a pile of rocks for days until she finds one specific stone. And Amy Allen said that it's because she has to have like a specific stone that's her protection. And that's what she needs to carry.
Random rocks at Chick-fil-A.
So
The
some
stone's
crazy,
always called to you.
huh?
The stone's always called to you.
Exactly.
Eldon, welcome back.
Yeah, we lost you. Oh, now I can't hear you.
Yeah, you're muted, buddy.
Okay.
The 1 second finger.
Wow, man, I'll tell you some issues there, huh?
Still can't hear you, buddy.
You still
I can
can't
hear
hear me.
you. There you are.
Oh, Shasta, you had to ruin my phone.
Oh,
You know, when he plays games like that, I just I get him like that. So it takes him a while to figure out how he's muted. So he'll figure it out.
Sit down. Turn that fan off.
That's what I mean right there. Hang on, Brian. Let me help you out. All right, there you go, buddy. Go ahead.
Oh, going back to the old mute my mic, you childish little man, you.
That's right. I gotta have fun somehow, man.
Right. So fire away for some questions, brother.
Oh, man. I like it when some paranormal teams can kind of get together and work together and everything. And I know that you're in Virginia, Shasta, and you're saying that the team is actually based out of North Carolina. That's not too far, really. Just down, I think, 77. If you go down 81, what do? You interchange here in Wytheville, and then you go down 77 in North Carolina, I think.
Yeah, it's like 2 hours.
Yeah. You're on that up and down diagonal road in Virginia there. It's called 81.
Yep.
Us truck drivers I used to be a truck driver. So I've traveled it many, many times. So you're not too far from North Carolina. But what I'd like to know is it something with your organization that you're in both locations, or do you kind of just come together in investigations at some point? I mean, how does that work for you guys?
Well, we're family, so we've known each other our entire lives. So that's
Right.
kind of it's his team, and I joined in because he wanted, he was looking for team members. So I'm
Mhm.
like, you know what? I'll help you. I'll get on board. I mean, not that I'm a professional by any means. I think as
Mhm.
long as you are in the field, you learn something new every day. I don't
Mhm.
know if I could ever become a professional. I'll still learn if I investigate until I'm up the day I die. I'll still be learning. But so that's it's based out of North Carolina because he started the group. It just happened that I live in a different state than he does. So that's kind of how we I see Mason's on here. That's how we ended up, it's me traveling there. But we
Mhm.
kind of do stuff in both places. So if I have something here, it's a short little skip up for me to do something here. And then if he's
Right.
got something scheduled down there, we're close enough that we can move back and forth. But
Yeah.
I was going to say
Yeah. It's not, sorry about that.
his dad and my mom are brother and sister.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the good thing is you guys aren't too very far apart. So,
Right.
you know, I know a lot of people would hear, North Carolina versus Virginia, think, wow, it's a state or so away, but in reality, it's really not that long of a trek.
Right. Yeah, it
Awesome.
looks like it is, but it's not that far. Once
Right.
you get on 81 doing 95, you'll be fine. You know how
Right.
81 is. If you're a trucker, you know it you
Oh
just
yeah. Yep. The
dodge
land of
and
brotherly
weave and
love. Yep.
dodge and weave and pray. You'll be fine.
Yeah. That's
Uh,
true.
yeah, MJC and I, we're really close friends. We met a few months ago, and we've been supporting each other ever since. Mason is an amazing guy.
I'm Mason is a mess. I like Mason. I met him. It's probably been, oh gosh, maybe a year or two now. Okay, go
I
on.
have to be back here to fit in the frame.
No, you go on now. You said hello. Mason is hilarious. I met Mason. I was up one night and I think he had just gotten to North Carolina or was just I was surfing the channels. And I was surfing the channels and there's a local what am I thinking of? It's a local tragedy in North Carolina called the Lawson murders.
Hmm.
And the husband killed his entire family and
Hmm.
murdered himself on Christmas Day. There's been songs, books, all that stuff. So everybody tries to get into the graveyard to go and investigate the graveyard. Well, the graveyard is a very private graveyard. If you go in there, somebody's going to run you out.
Hmm.
Well, we happen to be related to the Lawsons. Um, we can get in. So when we go in, if you see me looking away, I'm watching my daughter to make sure she don't break something. Um, but we can get in. We can go in and just tell them we're family. They don't bother us. So one night I see Mason, and Mason's out there trying to cover the Lawson murders. So he's trying to go into the graveyard in the dark and go scout out and see if he can video and investigate the graveyard. I'm like, Mason, don't do that. And everybody's like, no, you don't need to be messing in the graveyard. They're going to get in trouble. I said, Mason, you really will. They'll call the cops on you. So I was trying to discourage him from getting arrested in the graveyard in the middle of the night. So that's how I met Mason. And I was like, don't do it, dude. So I
That
told
just shows the dedication, man, right there. MJC is so dedicated.
yeah,
Mason's a heck of a guy, and that just shows the motivation and dedication of
he's
somebody.
awesome. So I actually hooked him up with my cousin who was starting his group at that point. And I'm like, listen, we're family. Maybe they can take and go with you if you want to go and show you the graveyard. I don't think sneaking in is a good idea. But, and they kind of hooked up and started up talking with my cousin. And he's been on a couple of investigations with us. He actually did, we've done the battleship previously with
Hmm.
Mason from MJC.
Hmm.
And we've done the Trevette Clinic. He's just a ball of fun. I can't
Hmm.
keep up with him sometimes. Um, yeah, I'm just like, go ahead, Mason. You go for it. He's running a mile a minute, but he's hilarious. We love him.
Yeah, Mason is definitely somebody is on my bucket list to investigate with.
Get your running shoes because he is everywhere. He is everywhere.
Attaboy.
I don't know if my DCs will keep up, man.
Yeah, we bounce ideas and get our equipment out there. And oh gosh, look at that. Paranormal consultant says it's you think he's bad, just wait until March. Oh, I can't run, y'all. See, I'm not a runner. I figure if whatever's up there is going to be there when I get there, it's still going to be there. I'm not going to run and chase it. It ain't going nowhere. Okay, go on.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's this whatever's haunting this building and the ship. If it's ahead of me, it's still going to be ahead of me when I get there. Running is not necessary. Slow and steady will still not win the race, but it's still in the race, right?
That's right. It ain't about how you win the race. It's about how you participate in the race.
Exactly. Exactly.
Because believe me, my fat rear end don't run worth a damn.
Yeah, I don't run. I will still catch up with you, but I ain't running.
I will speed walk like Michael and Jason, but running just don't work for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't run. I don't run anymore, man. I'm too old for that.
Oh, and the battleship, it's got a whole new the battleship takes on a whole new light. Like we were talking about it the other day. It takes on a whole new light at night. Because during the day it's got all the pretty stuff. It's got all the flags, it's got the salutes, it's got the you really feel the military bond with the people that come on board. At night, it's way different. When you're trying to maneuver down basically a ladder with ropes and you're trying to maneuver down that in the dark holding a backpack with equipment sticking out of it and a camera and it's not as easy. And then all of a sudden you see something run past you or you hear something bang back there or something talks to you that isn't there. It's like, you want me to run? No, I'm just going to stay and take my time, catch my breath, and then I'll move forward because running in there is not a good idea.
No, there's a lot of things on a ship that can hurt you if you're running.
Exactly. And the stairs, ladders, they're one of them.
Yep.
And the giant pots and pans. You fall into one of those things, you're done for.
Right. So Marcus Turdwell says he's from the UK and he recommends listening to the Uncanny Paranormal Podcast on BBC Sounds. That sounds like an interesting podcast, the Uncanny Paranormal.
We should check that out, Brian.
We should. We should see if we could maybe be guests on there or see if we can get them to come be guests on our show.
Well, who knows,
Hey, you promote us, we'll promote you. It works.
I'm learning all kinds of new, just since I'm talking with everybody and starting to get out of my comfort zone and meeting different people, I'm finding that there's a lot more podcasts in different groups. And I love meeting new people. I could talk to anybody, sometimes to a fault. I can't go to the grocery store without talking about something, especially if I have on like one of our team shirts or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm talking. We're chatting it up about, paranormal investigating, what we've done, where we're going to go, people trying to get me to come and investigate their house. So, yeah, I mean, I love finding new groups and teams and web channels and different things to look at, videos. Some of the investigations that people do that put on YouTube, some of their stuff is so amazing.
Oh yeah,
It surprises me that people still don't believe.
right. Yeah, I'm a big fan of going out and jaw flapping myself. I used to wear my old team shirt all the time, and we'd have people stop us in parking lots and in stores, and oh, what does SGC mean? You know, and we describe to them what it means is,
Thank you, Mason.
you know, and we tell them stories of what we done, and the next thing you know, an hour and a half going by, and you're getting a call from your wife. Where the hell are you?
That's me.
Sorry, I got caught up talking. All right, just making sure you're okay.
And when I used to have my own group, this has been many, many years ago, I had the logo on the back of my car. And we I used to have the car sitting in the driveway. And this gentleman would come through once every couple of weeks. He would catch me outside getting stuff out of my car. And he would actually stop in the middle of the street in our neighborhood and ask me if we'd been anywhere new and if we had investigated what was going on, what we found. And then my mom and I both have the same doctor. And unfortunately, we don't have great knees. So we go in and have knee injections and all that kind of stuff. So when we go in for knee injections and things like that, they're like, oh, so we're getting knee injections. Where are you investigating this time? And I'm like, oh, so just because I'm getting knee injections means I'm going somewhere to investigate. So that with the whole clinic where we go to, the doctor knows that that's what we do. So while we're in our doctor's office, the doctor's like chatting up, wanting to know about our investigating. And we've actually had a couple of the nurses go with us on investigations, which is hilarious. I mean, they tried it once. They never came back again. I told them they could stand next to me, not sit on my lap. Bless her heart, she was right in my lap. I was like, please get off me. They're not going to hurt you. But poor little girl, she was, once the activity started with the flashlight, she was sitting right in my lap. It's like, you can't get any closer. But they didn't come back anymore. I guess they got too scared. So it's not for everybody. You know, you got to be real tough. I see somebody else has the same thing. Nicole, that's how me and my doctors are together. Yeah. See, the people love to hear it. You know, there's a lot more people out there now that like to hear the stories, that like to hear about the investigating. They don't necessarily want to do it. I guess they like to live through somebody else.
Right.
They don't want to do it themselves, or they're not. I don't know. Maybe they're not brave enough to just get up and go spend the night somewhere, but they like to hear about it.
I'm that way in my local Safeway and couple of dispensaries up here for my wife.
Yeah.
I'll go in there and then, hey, big man, what's going on? What's news with the ghost hunting? Oh, well, hell, you know, this and this and this and this and this.
Exactly. Well, John couldn't get on the chat. I was having trouble too. Like it wouldn't let me sign on in the beginning. I had to go out and come back in a couple of times. There was something with the link.
I don't know. It's weird.
I don't know. It wouldn't load at first, and then I tried it a couple of times, and then I went out and it finally let me in.
Well, if anybody has any questions, if anybody has any questions for Shasta or Jonathan, please feel free to ask your questions. And I I will ask them or pull you up on the screen and let Shasta read them, and she can answer for herself. So, out of all the investigations you've done so far, what has been your favorite investigation?
My favorite location is Waverly Hills.
Waverly Hills.
Yeah, I just have a calling to Waverly Hills. I always have. Um, I have. I've been there a couple of times. It's the most amazing place to me. I don't know why I have such a calling to Waverly Hills. I actually have some memorabilia from Waverly that I picked up along the way. But
Oh,
there's just something about that building. I did the first time I investigated there, it was a public investigation. So there was like 40 of us. We still got activity. And the second time we went, we rented the building out, and there was like 6 or 7 of us. And we had a bathroom. There was a big flash of light, like it rained the day before. So it was wet in there, and there was a big flash of light. And there was a footprint on the ground on the floor when we got up there, and it was a bare footprint, and it was like a big dude. Well, we only had 2 guys with us. There were 2 guys with us, but their foot was nowhere near that big. Shut the door, Bella. There were 2 guys with us, but their foot wasn't that big. I mean, this is like 12, 13 shoe. And it was a bare footprint. You could actually see the arch and the toe prints in the ground, in the floor, in the dirt that came out of the
oh,
bathroom. And then earlier, before we even got started, like there was big heavy boots going down the stairs.
oh man.
Of course, I mean, I'm crazy. I do crazy stuff. I mean, I did spend couple no, it was probably about 45 minutes to an hour. I like went head first into the morgue bed, and I laid inside the morgue bed by myself for a while. I'm like, I don't like tight places, but I laid in a morgue bed in Waverly Hills. But I have a 19, I want to say it's a 1970. Is it a 1970? 1940. 1940. I don't know why I said 70. 1940 copy of a Waverly Bulletin from there. And it actually has the names of the patients that were in there. It has a program. It was from around Christmas that I had gotten from an auction. And it was printed in the basement of Waverly Hills when it was still running. It was printed in a printing press for the patients that told them like some Christmas blessings, some of the patient names, some of the activities and things that were going on. And I have one of the original bulletins from Waverly Hills
Oh, that's awesome.
and a syringe. I don't know why I would think that would be an awesome thing to have, but I have an actual syringe from Waverly Hills.
Right on. And see where I'm at, there's there's good places in Seattle to investigate, and there's good places down in Boise to investigate.
Hmm.
But when you got a piece of crap car that you don't know it's going to make it 50 miles outside of your area,
Yeah.
you don't tend to press your luck very much. So the only place I've really had the chance to investigate that was big was the St. Ignatius Hospital in Colfax.
See, that sounds cool though. Old hospitals are always amazing.
Oh man, the footsteps above us and just things being moved and shadow figures and the demonic entity that went home with me for 6 to 8 months.
Yeah, no. I don't want to take nothing
That
home with me.
was the only bad part of that deal.
Yeah, I do. I say my blessings when I get there, and I say my blessings and tell it to stay there when I leave. I don't want anything to follow me. But yeah, we usually, if we do it, we try to do it as a group. And a lot of times I'll have to rent a car because you're right, it is hard if you're trying to go somewhere to get to something good. Um, we're lucky here where I am. We're within about 6 hours of tons of good stuff. Um, 6 hours, I can get to 6 to 8 hours, I can get to Waverly. I can get to, let's see, Gettysburg. Um, I think St. Augustine Lighthouse is like 9 hours. Um, I want to go to Louisiana and spend a little more time in Louisiana. I get as far as the graveyard. I want to visit Marie Laveau's graveyard, but I get her tombstone. But I get there and they close at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So I'm usually through there at 6, 7 o'clock in the evening before I get there. But I want to spend some time in Louisiana just soaking up the history there because that's such a wonderful place and I love it. But I want to do the Myrtles plantation. That's a thing, on my bucket list.
What about you, Eldon?
I just came in, man. You know, with these issues going on, so I didn't hear what your question was, Brian.
Well, what are some of your favorite places that you have investigated?
Wow. I don't know that there's a favorite really per se. Um, the way I approach investigations probably a little different than others. If we catch if we catch evidence, we catch data, that's cool. But what I like to do is try to debunk a lot of claims is what I like to do. And that's kind of how I approach it. If I've got no other alternative but to think that something's paranormal, then I'll look into that realm. But I really dive into what's causing it before I really chalk something up like that. So as far as a favorite place, I mean, I love history just as much as I do the paranormal, and I'm so fortunate they run hand in hand. So I'd say really being here in Arizona, one of the most favorite places I like to go is Jerome. I also like Tombstone. I feel very comfortable down there, and we do get a lot of activity in those locations when we go.
Yeah,
So
see, that's a dream of mine is like Tombstone and the
Mhm.
Wild West and an old ghost town, and
Mhm.
I would love to see my teeth into a couple places like that.
Well, what we like to do is get down there about 10 o'clock at night, and then we'll kind of roam around a little bit. And right about 2 o'clock in the morning, between 2 and 5 a.m., that place is pretty much all yours. Nobody's there.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
That
So what
Noah-
about
oh, go
what
ahead.
about investigations that you didn't really care for?
I don't know if I've ever had one that I didn't care for. I can't think of anything. I mean, because you know what? I've never been on an investigation where I haven't been with people that I like. So if I'm not, if the investigation isn't going well, you're still with people that you enjoy. So it's still good time. So it's not like I don't think I've ever been on anything that I haven't enjoyed. Please no.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, I've always, it's not always about the activity because I mean, I've been places where we haven't gotten any activity because we were there to check and see if it was actually haunted.
Right.
And we've come up with nothing. But I, I've always been with other people. and it's always been amazing because it gives you a chance to spend time. Please go out and shut the door right now.
Fine.
Sorry.
Oh,
And a
you're
wild child.
my little
Isabella?
8-year-old always photo bombing me. Between her and my dad.
So yeah, I mean, I would like to say that I've been on bad investigations, but no, it just for me, I haven't had one.
So it's more about the experience for you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've had investigations where we haven't had anything go on, but it's still not a bad experience. I think every experience you can learn something from. No matter where you go, what happens, you can learn something from that experience. So it's not a bad experience. Whether you caught something, you debunked something, and I like to travel around. So anytime I get to see something new is always good.
So
Absolutely.
MJC, he just says that he'll be going very soon. He said he's already made the plans with his wife. He wants to revisit a museum called The Thing, and that's where he got his haunted Native American dolls. And so, and that's exactly what it's called. It's called The Thing. Matter of fact, I'll kind of show this up there. It is called The Thing. So if you're wondering if he just forgot its name or whatever, he really didn't, because it's really called The Thing. And this is what Mason's talking about right here.
What's in the box?
Well, let's see if MJC can remember what's in the box. So we'll ask MJC if he can help us out with that. Do you remember what's in that box, MJC? Can you tell us? If you can't remember, I'll clue you in on what's in the box, but I won't describe what's in the box.
Dude, it better not be a creepy doll.
Yeah, it was weird. I was like, there's a cinder block box with it looks like a clear top on it. Oh, some kind of alien.
I don't know. I could foresee a doll from 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 the movie Dead Silence or something in there.
And as MJC just stated, it's a type of alien type of thing that, like, they call it The Thing. It resembles like an alien that they have in that box that's on display, and they call it The Thing.
Oh wow.
Hmm.
Now
Like
see,
you said, it's something they found in the desert, like he just said, and that's true. They found it in the desert, and it is real. Just, you really can't say what its origins are, so
right.
therefore it's more alien than anything.
That is awesome.
Maybe half an hour. Like half an hour. Yeah. So yeah, I've never seen anything like that.
Hmm.
Well, I changed that when we went to there's a story. And I said I don't know a whole lot about UFOs. I don't know if I believe or I don't believe. Um, that's something I would like to research further because I haven't seen it. Doesn't mean that it doesn't exist.
Hmm.
Same with Bigfoot. Just because I haven't seen it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I would love to be able to go Bigfoot hunting. I say that all the time. I want to do it, but then I get close to the woods and I'm like, not doing that. I'm going in the woods. Um, but there is in Mexico, there's a town called Real de Catorce. And I don't know if any of y'all are familiar with the movie The Mexican with
Hmm.
Brad Pitt. It's an older movie, and Angelina Jolie, I think, were in it.
Hmm.
I think those were the two. But anyway, it was filmed there. And
Hmm.
there is a graveyard in the back of that town. So you have to physically go through a tunnel to get
Hmm.
to the town. The town was built by the miners after they dug through the mountain. And the original church is way back at the back of the mountain. And there's a story of a little boy that died and was taken by the aliens, killed by the aliens. And all of this is depicted on his stone in like mosaic type pieces around his tombstone.
Mm-hmm.
And he is actually, that whole story is done in these pieces, intricate pieces around his tombstone of him being abducted and visited by these alien creatures and the ship and whatever around his tombstone. And it sits in the middle of this old graveyard on the back of this mountain. So that's the original church. They actually have the higher ranking members of the church, the priests of the church, are buried in the floors as you walk in. So you're walking across those stones that covered the priests when you go into the church. It's an awesome place. I mean, the view is amazing, but there's one way in and one way out, and you have to wait. It's a one-way tunnel that you go in and out of that place.
You know, I don't know what the hell just happened in my apartment, but that was the weirdest thing I've seen in this apartment yet.
Well, we can't see anything, Brian. So
Yeah, I was like, we don't see it. What happened?
For some reason, I can't turn my camera on. This is my on position for my camera for some reason. But I come back inside, and there's nobody in the apartment that's in the living room or kitchen. And as I'm walking in there, 2 of my plastic cups just fell out of the cupboard.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. And I know I didn't leave the cupboard doors open, and they weren't open when I left to go outside.
We've been having some weird stuff happening in our house. Excuse me, the last couple of weeks. Like was it yesterday or the day before? My mom starts hollering at my daughter because she saw somebody walk by her room, and my daughter was in her room in her bed. So nobody walked by there. And
wow, ridiculous.
I don't pay any mind to it. We've heard footsteps in here before, but the house that we live in now, I grew up in it. My dad bought it when I was 2. And when my dad sold it, we didn't have the money to buy it. And he sold it out of the family. When my daughter was 2, we found it on a foreclosure list and bought it back. And we just recently got it all remodeled, an addition put on, and moved back into it. So this is the house that I grew up in as a little girl. My grandmother actually passed away in my daughter's room, but she was brought back with the little, I don't know, the little paddles. She had a heart attack. And then they took her to the hospital. So we kept hearing footsteps one night. And this was during renovation. And I had a friend of mine over, and he had an SB7 spirit box. Threw the SB7 out, and I said, well, we'll try it if you want to. So I have never, even to my husband, I've never told him my grandmother's name. There was no point. She's been dead for years, since I was back like 1980, 81, something like that. So we would hear like phantom footsteps in the house. And so that night we threw the SB7 out, and I said, can you tell me the name of the lady who passed away here? And just as clear as I'm speaking to you, the SB7, this voice comes through and says, Annie. I said, shut it down now.
There we go.
I'm not talking anymore. So this thing had actually called out the name of my dead grandmother.
Wow.
Yeah. So no, we still will randomly hear like footsteps, but in old houses, how it vibrates the floor. You can feel the footsteps as they walk through the house. But it doesn't seem to bother us. I mean, it doesn't mess with anything. Sometimes the cats will sit and stare at stuff that isn't there. But I figure as long as it's not bothering me, it's not throwing stuff around, yeah, we can coexist. That's one thing I don't do is investigate my own house. I don't try out new equipment in my own house. I don't communicate. I don't want to try to make things worse or better, or you know what I'm saying? I don't want to bring that into where I live. I don't want to encourage the activity here.
Yeah, and Shasta, that I think that's a field wide practice. That
Mhm.
we don't investigate our own, and that's a pretty, I don't know, kind of an unwritten rule that we all kind of follow. I would think.
You see, I decided to download the Ghost Tube app
Mhm.
just to see what it was all about. So I'm, just playing around with it, turned it on for the heck of it, and it says run. I'm like, okay, this is a joke. Why would it tell me to run? And then it says church. And I'm like, okay, this is just random. But the fact that I actually turned it on in my house, my wife got a wee bit mad at me.
Yeah. I don't know. It's one of those things where me personally, I've always thought, let me change it. I've seen we did an investigation right at the edge of the West Virginia state line where we were contacted by a lady, and I was part of an all female team at that time. There were 4 of us. And this was broad daylight. They were right next to a river and one of those big power substations. And they were having so much activity. I finally had to cut ties with them. I said, there's nothing else I can do for you because you won't listen to what we're trying to tell you to do. They had a recorder going 24/7 inside the house. Each one of them, if they were in separate rooms, they were recording what they were doing. Their EVPs were so awful. I mean, things that you would not expect to be said to anybody. Cussing, get out,
Barking.
F you, beep, 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 I mean, just really horrible, horrible EVPs. And we try to tell them, you can't keep listening to this stuff. You can't keep trying to communicate because the more you communicate, the more they know that you can hear them, the more that they're going to reach out. And you keep opening up these doors, you're going to keep getting stuff. And sometimes you're not going to be able to get rid of what you get. It's not all going to be nice. They even moved, but they continue doing the same thing in the new location. And it got to the point where it was so bad. We had went into the investigation and there was something between us in the hall and you could hear it snapping, like it sounded like it was snapping its fingers.
So we have a little surprise here. Mason
Look at
decided to
you.
join us.
What's
So
up?
it sounded like it was snapping its fingers in between us. And the lady in front of me turned around and said, what do you need? I said, no, you snapped your fingers at me. And this was in 3:00 in the afternoon in the middle of a hallway. That we can never get them to understand that they couldn't just keep recording all the time.
Damn.
It was
How
bad.
y'all doing?
How you
Look
doing,
at you,
Mason?
Shasta. It's been a
Listen to
while,
that
girl.
accent. Wild. Come on now. You know me better than that. I ain't wild.
My big dog was going down, brother.
Nothing much. Sitting here freezing my ass off. It's been snowing and all kinds of stuff here.
Yeah, we missed the last snow. You can keep that stuff. We still
That
got
shit
ice
was
from a week
bad.
ago.
Well, I've been out of internet and everything. I haven't been able to do anything. So I got like several videos that I hadn't even been able to work on because of the damn internet and the weather screwing me up.
I see where you said you had something with Bigfoot. What are you chasing Bigfoot for now?
Well, I'm a 100%. I'm going to be 100% honest. I've seen Bigfoot 4 times in my life, and my wife's sitting right next to me. And the last time I seen it, she and her mother and our cousin Harley was with us, and it walked right up to her home. So, well, the plantation that we lived on had a river running behind it, and it's like hundreds of acres. It was an old dairy farm, but there's a family of Bigfoot that lived back there, and they will communicate like with knocking and grunting and whoops and stuff like that. And they actually will walk right up to your home. Everybody around there knows about it, and I'm actually going to get these creatures on video. I'm planning on doing a full investigation out there, and I'm going to go after them. I'm going to get them on video.
So I've not had any experience with Bigfoot, but let me tell you, I used to think the Mothman. People say that they believe in the Mothman, they don't believe in the Mothman. 3 occasions now, we have seen something coming back from a haunted location here. Once I saw it with my husband years ago, and then twice I've seen it with my mother. But there is this thing, and I don't know what it is, but it's sort of a dark gray. It will fly along the side of the truck. And it's a wingspan as wide as the truck.
It
And it's
might be
nice.
either a pterosaur or it could be a Nephilim, which that's what I think Mothman is, a Nephilim. It's a
This thing is
crossbreed.
creepy. I mean, it will never cross in front of the light. The twice it's been beside our truck when we're coming down 81 and we've caught it. And it'll flip. It's like 3 o'clock in the morning. We have been leaving an investigation, and it's like beside the truck, and it'll cut right at the edge of the front fender, and it'll flip right up over the windshield, over the cab, and it's gone. You don't see it
See,
again.
I
It's
want to talk to them.
about
That's what I
4.5
want to
5 feet
do.
tall.
I want to sit there and talk to them and hopefully
Twice
maybe
I've seen
do some
81.
420 experiments with Mothman.
81 is a creepy stretch. There's a creepy stretch of 81 that's got some stuff on it. My mom will tell you there's some creepy stretch of 81 that's just nuts. 81's got some strange stuff anyways, but 81 has got some creepy stuff going on.
Man,
I
you know a lot of
absolutely
good places. I want you to take me there. That would be freaking awesome.
Yeah, with the flying, there's been one here in Roanoke on the mountain next to the Star. We saw it coming off the mountain one night.
Oh, I've heard about that. Y'all see like lights and stuff on top of the mountain, but if you get to a certain point, they disappear.
No, this was the flying thing,
Shit.
flying along next to the truck when we were coming back from the Star. And that was right downtown.
Wow.
Yeah.
This would be
That was
cool
the
to
first
catch
time I
on
ever
video,
saw it.
man. I'd like to see some video of this stuff, man. That would be cool.
most
Oh yeah.
definitely.
Cool.
And you know what, though? It's caught me every time when we were just out and not thinking about videoing because I'm always driving.
Yep, that's
So I
Murphy's
can't
law.
ever, huh?
That's Murphy's law.
I know. I'm always driving, and my mom's sitting there, and this thing's like scooting along. I mean, it flies with the truck. And trust me, I
Go
don't drive
to
slow.
we turned it on at the house and it said Petersburg, Virginia. We have never got a clear response like that, and we contacted Amy's cryptid, and Pacific locations is not in the database. Huh. We're getting great responses with it. Huh, I
And
have
what
to
are they
check that.
using?
The Ghost Tube app.
Jonathan's been using that. And it also does the SLS camera and with the
Mhm.
heat and all that stuff, man. And it pisses me off because I paid a lot of money for my SLS camera, and now they come out with an app that actually works. Jonathan has got really good evidence over his phone with this app. Shasta, did you see what he captured at y'all's family cemetery?
I haven't seen it.
It's insane. It is really awesome.
So now I think the necrophonics is what I use.
Necrophonic app is really good. I've got some intelligent, just straight up intelligent responses, full conversations.
I
And
think
the key,
necrophonics is what I have. And then
oh
I
hell
turned,
yeah.
I turned the tablet. I got the Android thermal,
Oh
the Android
yeah.
thermal camera, and I couldn't see it in my little Android phone. But the Android thermal camera really works, but you can't see it with a phone. So I got an Android
Eldon,
tablet and plugged it into my Android tablet with a connector. So now I
yeah.
have a 10-inch Android thermal imaging camera for like less than $300. So
Nice.
I can do thermal imaging of a whole entire room for less than $300.
That's what
And
you
then,
showed me at the Trebeck Clinic, ain't it?
yes. I have to put, all I had to do was put a piece of Velcro so that I can mount my camera,
Yeah.
my little thermal camera on the back of my tablet. And I've got a 10-inch thermal imaging camera with the little Android thermal camera that plugs into your phone.
Damn.
Well, guys, I have unfortunately am the bearer of bad news.
Oh
As
yeah.
much as I am enjoying Shasta and MJC, I am at 2% battery life and must end the podcast.
We'll
Wow,
have to do this again
you're a pooper.
sometime.
But Shasta, you have been a great guest. I would love to have you, Jonathan, and Hillbilly over here all on at one.
You're more of
Love
a
you,
hillbilly than
MJC.
me, Mason. That's funny.
But I will
I
definitely
really
message
enjoyed it.
you.
I appreciate you having me on, and it's good to see you again, Shasta and Eldon and
Me
Brian.
too.
Good to see
I
you,
really
Mason.
enjoyed. Dude, that live chat yesterday was really good. I just wanted to tell y'all that straight up. I really enjoyed every bit of that.
We appreciate that.
I was doing homework.
And MJC, I'm going to get a hold of you tonight or tomorrow, and we are going to schedule a time for you to get on my podcast again as well.
Oh, hell yeah. I'd be honored.
All right. Well, I'm going to send you guys to the bag, do my closing before my phone dies.
Thanks for having me. It was good to see
And
you guys. We'll do it again
Thanks for
sometime.
coming, Shasta. Thank you very much.
Thank
Good to meet you.
you.
have a good night, Shasta. Well, I'd say that was a successful podcast, brother.
Absolutely, man. Amazing. Shasta's got some really cool stories, man. I'd like to get her back for a part 2. And if we can get Jonathan on, man, I'd really love to talk to him and, get some more insight on what his organization is doing, man. It's just a lot of good stuff.
And before we go, folks, don't forget, go give Parapost a check out. Subscribe now. It's an awesome platform. You'll love it. Go check out Jesse at D's Ghost for your equipment needs. And also, don't forget to get your very own Ghost On with Ghost Energy Drink. Well, guys, that's going to do it for the Saturday Night Parrot Talk from your ghost host, Brian and Eldon. We will see you guys Wednesday with Worldwide Paranormal. Nighty night, y'all.